Hey guys, it's Mookie here, and today I decided to talk about some weird or reoccurring dreams that I've had. But before we get to that, I would like to take a quick moment to update my progress and my goals and homework and such. So, I work on French, Korean, and Japanese, and so far I am able to recognize certain letters in Japanese. I'm still working on pronunciation, but in French it's a lot easier for me because it's close to Spanish. So, here we go. Bonjour. Comment allez-vous? Moi, ça va très bien. Merci beaucoup. That's how we're gonna get today. My accent is terrible, but I'm excited because I can understand a good portion of conversation. So next video we'll have more of an update. Let's see. I've been using a lot of flashcards lately. Like I've been finding different apps and stuff, but usually whenever it comes to studying and like trying to get good grades, one thing that has always been a good help for me has always been like repetition, even if that means like writing it over and over again. Like whenever I learned the multiplication table in third grade, oh my god, I never hated writing so much more because I had a really good I had two third grade teachers, but my second one, she was really good. Despite the fact that the school that she worked at wasn't that great, it was very low income, but she put a lot of work into her students so that they learned. So she would make us write our times tables, or 12 by 12s as she used to call them, and that meant that every day, about like at least 5 times a day, we would write our multiplication tables from 0, 0 all the way to 12, 12. And by the time that second semester rolled around, we would all be able to do like double-digit multiplication, and she would time us to see how many we could do on this one sheet of paper. It had like 50 problems on it, and the person that did the most got a prize. And you know, as expected, I usually won, but that was also because my mom would also make me do it at home as well, because she's been telling me ever since I was young that she was not going to be paying for college, so I had to put in work and study, and well, it paid off because here I am. On today's topic, I've always been the type of person to have really weird and off-the-wall dreams that are like really vivid, disturbingly so, or some strange ones that I can't remember the next morning, or like there'll be nights where I just don't dream about anything at all. I can't decide which ones are better to have because vivid dreams stick with me for a while, and usually they're more action-packed, a bit more scary, I guess. So I usually wake up and I'm like, well, not wake up, I'm more like I'm jolted awake. So like I have a lot of adrenaline, and like I can't really go back to sleep that easily. So it sucks if I wake up early in the morning before my alarm clock goes off. But if it's those nights where I wake up but not have a dream, I usually wake up and I'm really like groggy and heavy, like really tired. There isn't really an in-between, so I don't really know which one is worse to have. One thing that has always interested me is like reoccurring dreams, because like for me they don't really happen often. I probably have like 2 types. I always thought it was really interesting because like, is that your body's way of trying to tell you something important, something that you forgot, or like something bothering you in your subconscious that like is really important to you, but like are you in denial about it, or you just haven't realized it yet, you know? Like, it's always been interesting to me. So I have this one reoccurring dream that I've had since I was younger, and it's like the first reoccurring dream I've ever had, but like it doesn't really make any sense. I don't remember the exact age it started, but it's a bit fuzzy how it starts, but I'm always in a hallway to a room where a bunch of kids are like laying in beds that are like lined up in these rows, and it's a pretty decent sized room. I say it's about like 5 rows of kids, and it's like those old beds that are like twin size, and the bed frame is metal, and like the headboard is like white with the poles that are standing vertically. And for some reason these kids, like, I don't ever remember there being a lot of details about the kids, but like they all generally look the same, and like they never said anything, I never said anything to them, but they would always be dragging these sticks across the bars, and it would create like a metal like ting noise. But the part that like kind of surprised me was that they were always in sync but it never was really that loud. And I never saw like any adults or anybody else besides these kids. There was never anybody else in the stream. And these kids never said anything or did anything interesting. I would just sit there and I would watch them for a little bit. Not like a babysitter, but I would just like, you know, these are some kids in a room banging sticks. Huh, that's cool. And the way the room was set up, when I came to the door, on the far left side, up high are like these windows where like sunlight was coming through. So it would start in the daytime, but then like I would turn around to leave the room and it would suddenly be like all black, all dark, because it's nighttime and the kids behind me are no longer there. It's just like an empty room. And I'm in a hallway to like a staircase kind of. Like if you've ever been to an apartment complex or a hotel and they have those stairs that go in like the square up and they have that center part that's empty, it's kind of like that, except for the fact that there aren't any stairs to go up or down a level. It's just like layers with the center piece missing. And it always has like old vintage carpet. And like on the left hand side on the wall, there's like a crack in the wall. And this is where it gets really bizarre. It's a crack in the wall and there's a jack-o'-lantern stuffed in there, right? I can clearly tell it's a jack-o'-lantern. It's glowing, it's bright orange. It sticks out in this very dark and like somber environment. But then in the jack-o'-lantern sticking out is a teddy bear. And it's like a sad teddy bear. Now, once again, I'm not saying anything. There's nobody to talk to. I'm not panicking. I just like sense that I'm supposed to go to this doll and like help it in a way. So I go up to the doll. Oh, I mean, not the doll, the teddy bear. And I pull it out of the jack-o'-lantern and like, I don't ever remember what happens to the teddy bear. I don't know if I put it down or anything. But either way, it's not really that important because like it doesn't show up again. But I take the jack-o'-lantern out of the wall. And this is the part that gets really weird because like I walk over to the banister to the center part where all the like the stairs or the levels are around the edges of the building along the wall, and like I just toss it over because in the middle on the first floor, I guess way below, I can't tell you what level I was on, is like there's weird strobe lights or flashing lights, kind of. The closest thing I can compare it to is like kind of like a dance hall or a party, but it's completely silent. There's like no music, there's nobody talking, there isn't any movement, none of that. And like I throw the jack-o'-lantern over the banister, and this part I think it came from like watching people play video games, but like it looked like one of those Super Mario stars, but the ones that like are power boost up and they're like multicolored, flashing, rainbowish, but like mostly white. And the jack-o'-lantern like floated down, but instead of going like straight down slowly, it kind of like swayed from side to side as it went down. And then there's one part where like as I keep walking around the edges of the level that I'm stuck on, which now that I think about it, if you guys have ever seen the movie, God, what is it called? I think it's like Levels or something. Levels. I'll have to find it. Once I find it, I'll put it at the end of the movie. But basically, the building setup is close to that, where like there isn't any stairs or exits to get off the level that you're on, but there is a empty hole or center part in the middle. Platform. That's what the movie was. Platform. It wasn't. Nothing in my dream was ever that serious or like deadly as that movie, but that's what the setup reminded me of. And towards the end of the dream, I always come across a snow globe sitting behind me, and I go and I'll pick it up. Now notice, the only pictures or anything close to New York I've seen has come from like movies or like pictures and textbooks or whatever. But like looking at the snow globe is not anything that screams New York, but somehow I know that it's New York. And like when I look up from the snow globe, I'm standing in the middle of the street and I somehow know that it's New York. And that's about the time that I wake up. So I decided to do this fun thing where I go and I try to figure out what those could possibly mean. Disclaimer, I am not a psychologist, I am not a dream therapist, I'm not any of that. I just did a very broad, very general, very simple Google search, and whatever popped up, I was like, hey, seems legit. So, to start off with, I looked up a pumpkin, and they said pumpkin in a dream is a symbol of prosperity and well-being, as well as motherhood. Despite the fact that in most cases a pumpkin in the dream is a good omen, there are also bad dreams with this vegetable. The same meaning has a dream in which you see an animal eating a pumpkin. Now, for those of you who know me in real life, I don't want kids. I don't know how to handle them. I'm not really around them that often. I myself am just too immature to deal with a kid, because I myself am still a kid. Prosperity and well-being, that sounds good. I was probably like 7 or 8 when the stream came about, so maybe it was like an omen for the future, you know, like I'll be reaping benefits soon. But nothing was eating the jack-o'-lantern, but there was a stuffed animal in it, so I don't know what that means. It's also for later on when I specified a jack-o'-lantern, my search also pulled up, says that to see ghostly faces carved into the pumpkin in a dream illustrates that others are going to turn to you for advice. The face in the dream can indicate the faces of those in the waking world. Maybe they are not going to be as faithful to you. So that was kind of strange, because like sometimes I do give advice to people, but I give advice to people on the weirdest things and in the weirdest ways. Like I try my best with advice, but like half the time, like, and this used to happen a lot in middle school. People would come to, well, I shouldn't say people, they were my friends at the time, or more like acquaintances. There was a lot of crazy stuff that happened. I should probably do a story time explaining it, because I've told some people and like they don't believe me, so I have to do something with it. But yeah, I know people would be in relationships and they would come to me complaining about whatever their significant other at the time had done, and I would give them advice, but I'd never been in a relationship before, so like I was just BSing my way through it, and it somehow worked. I remember there was a part, even like 6th or 7th grade, I think, where I was in orchestra class, and there was this one girl who asked me for help, and oh my god, I was so cringy. I called myself her personal love doctor. I didn't mean anything perverted by it. I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna be a good friend. I'm gonna be, helping you with your relationship. It was bad. It was really cringy. I mean, she said the advice helped her, which like I'm glad, because I wanted to help her. But at the same time, like I had no business to be doing that, because I didn't know anything. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just wasting everybody's time, but it was fun while it lasted. I could have made a business out of it. But our school had a rule against selling things, so I don't know. The next thing that I looked up was a sad teddy bear. And it says, if you dream about a teddy bear, it represents emotional dependency. Perhaps you believe something in your waking life brings you comfort or makes you feel safe. It could be a person, a belonging, or a place. Whatever it is gives you a sense of security, and it reassures you when you feel sad or unsure about life. So, let's see, I'm trying to think. I was never one of those kids who had a security blanket. I'm trying to think. Because, there are certain, I remember like there's certain stuffed animals I would bring around with me, but like, I was never the type of kid that like had one item that I was like super attached to and had to have with me at all times, Like, I was always pretty fine just going around and vibing with life or whatever. I mean, maybe it means my parents or something? Because it said it could be a person. So, that's interesting, yeah. And then kids. The fact that your dream involves a child shows a complex relationship with yourself, others, in the world around you. Often the child in your dreams represents the inner child longing to be free and nurtured. However, most often dreams about children are representatives of your inner child. So, this seems about accurate. Because I could be very childish when I'm comfortable with people. Like if I'm really comfortable with you, I'm really immature. Because I'll say whatever rolls off my tongue. My filter is pretty much gone. I'm also a lot more clingy, which is kind of annoying. So, but like, I don't understand why there were so many kids. Why am I getting invested in this? I just did the basic Google search, and here I am getting frustrated trying to figure out what this really means. Do you think that there's like an actual career for people that like interpret dreams? Like there are psychics. Can psychics interpret dreams? Like, side note, we're gonna segue a little bit. But like, one thing I've always been like nervous or kind of paranoid about is like messing with like supernatural stuff or religious stuff that I don't really understand, because I'm afraid to like even go near a psychic place, because like what if I like say something offhand and like it offends somebody and then I get cursed or something, right? Like I want to be respectful even if I don't understand it or believe it, you know, but at the same time, like I have questions, but like I don't know how to ask these questions without coming off sounding like, you know, an ignorant person, I guess. But at the same time, there's only so much you can Google. And plus, how do I know that these people are going to give me a real answer and not be a scam? I also don't really feel comfortable just like looking up a psychic house and going over there, because I don't want to go to a stranger's house. I'm too paranoid for that. So, I don't know, I'll figure it out. I wonder if dream catchers work though. I'll have to look those up and see how they work again. Anyway, the last thing I looked up for this dream was flickering lights, and it says that flickering lights are a sign of a spirit visiting you and maybe trying to communicate with you to deliver some important message or to guide you in your life, but merely because it wants it to. So that's very broad. I don't know what spirit will be trying to visit me. Maybe like an aunt or something? Because I've never really been a super religious person, even when I was younger and I went to church more often. I've always been I've always been more skeptical of the people than the religion, you know, especially once I started finding out about like how people use religion to justify like whatever evil behaviors they were doing at the time. So like I've always been I've always strayed away from it in a way. And then I don't know what type of message it would be trying to communicate, because there wasn't anything said. Unless maybe it was trying to use Morse code. That would explain the flashing. But I don't know Morse code, so. And I don't know if I'll be able to remember it, because it was flashing a lot if I think about it. But I've always been interested in things having to do with the mind and the subconscious and what it all could be trying to tell us. But I never really looked too far into it, because at the same time, like everybody is different with different backgrounds and different personalities, different lifestyles. But one thing that always did interest me was like, you know, how people's lives and behaviors affected them. Because like I said, my dreams are either like I don't really dream anything at all, or they're really vivid ones, and sometimes they reoccur. But like I remember back in middle school, I had a friend who described her dreams as like movies that picked up where they left off, and she went to this in-depth dream that she had that was like multiple parts or whatever. Like like I was invested in the story, because it was interesting, and the way she told it was pretty good. Like she could be a good storyteller if she wanted to. Which, side note, I'm gonna segue into this, but back in middle school, I think this is when like Instagram started taking off. But like it was also the time when like One Direction was like at its peak height, right? You had girls buying the backpacks and the shirts and like singing the songs, but one thing they all had in common, which is very prominent during this time, was Wattpad, right? It was like Instagram in a way, because like if you had one, you were like, you know, all right, you were pretty cool or whatever. But like the amount of people that wrote fan fiction was pretty surprising. I remember I was first introduced to it, and like I don't know, it didn't really hit me that it was like regular people writing this stuff. I thought it was like a legit website, because I think it was Language Arts, maybe? I think that's what they called it, Language Arts. The class where we were talking about like reliable sources, so I was actually trying to like use this website to like look up resources or whatever, but like it hit me whenever I looked up the author's name, and it was like some bizarre gamer tag or something, right? So it got really big around our school, and I will admit I did write some fan fiction myself. I think that was like at a time where I was very into writing and like very into being, you know, creative and writing stories and such, because ever since like maybe like the middle of 8th grade, I've never really put that same effort or passion into writing as I did fan fiction. But like I can't write fan fiction anymore. I just can't. Like I feel too self-conscious. I'm too embarrassed by it. And like I remember there was one girl that I was friends with. She wrote Black Veil Bride fan fiction. She was a pretty good writer, I admit. She had skills and talent. She knew what she was doing. I remember I got invested in the story, and like I wonder if it's still up though. Oh my god, if it's still up, I'm gonna freaking cry. It was oh my god. I mean, I think my account is still up too. Yo, should I do a reading of my own fanfiction? Bro, oh my god. See, I remember that I think this is when one of my bad writing habits started, where like I would try to use like really fancy words or try to shove in words where they didn't particularly fit because it sounded nice or I liked the way the word looked. And there was one part, like it's a habit that like stayed with me through high school, but it became worse in high school because whenever we had to write like timed essays or something, I was trying to take up space on paper. So I was just like, if I keep throwing in big words, it'll take up more space or whatever. Which was good in a rush. And then at the time, I thought it would make me a better writer because I knew all these words. But like, here's a tip. Even though you may know big words or whatever, if you're trying to make a point or an argument, sometimes more simple words will help send a message across, because it might be a little bit off-putting to people who don't speak like that or who may not entirely understand what you're trying to say because you shoved in a word that's not used all too often. So luckily I've started to get out of that habit, but now I've developed another bad habit where, well, it's not really developed because it's always been there, but like I never really used outlines whenever I wrote stuff. I would just like gather my ideas, and then whenever it came time to like write the rough draft or whatever, I would just like dump all the words into this document, and then I would start editing it, because like I would come up with a thesis, but then I would arrange everything around that, and then I would edit it, you know, come up with a plan. But that was only if I already had an idea beforehand what I wanted to say. You know, if it was something I was passionate about, like talking about issues of colorism among the Black community, if it was something about like cultural misappropriation, if it was about like police brutality, like, you know, things that I'm interested in and really passionate about. But like if it was something that I could care less about, that's when the problem came in, because I didn't have anything to dump in the document. So it was just like, So I had to start using outlines once more. And like it's helped some, but I still think it's a waste of time, sort of. So I don't even know why I'm talking about this. I'm supposed to be talking about dreams, but this segue was to make a point that I was once a very passionate fan fiction author during a time when writing fan fiction was just like a normal hobby. And like I recently found out by talking to friends that no, this is not normal. This was not happening in their middle school. So there you have it. Another dream that I'm gonna talk about today is one that I had more recently, like about a month ago. Ones that didn't make sense, because this one was more confusing to me because the scenes or the situations themselves switched so fast that it didn't really make sense. So it started off with me, I think it was in school. It was a familiar place like school or something. And it was like prom, I think. It wasn't prom night, it was prom day, because remember I was still running around trying to get everything organized. Let's see. I think I already had my dress. I don't remember buying a dress in the dream. But one thing that did stick out, one of the, I guess, earliest or the first parts that I came across was this one part where like, I don't know the breed of the dog, but it's like a all white dog that's really fluffy and like, I guess full grown, it would be about to your mid thigh, maybe to your hip or something. But it was just like rolling around in the street as I'm trying to drive by. And the weird part was like, it was just running the ground obviously, but like nobody really acknowledged it, but they made a point to like avoid hitting the dog, which was nice because I feel like I would have been very upset if they didn't. Which I don't even know what that's supposed to mean. And then it gets to the part where like I'm at this thrift store and I'm shopping, but for some reason I'm getting a bunch of cookbooks, even though I don't really cook that often. So I'm getting cookbooks, and then like as I step outside, I'm also having to run because now there's like a breakout of some sort. So, and this is all within the same day, I think. So like there's some type of an outbreak, and like I just run, and then somehow I'm at the place where the prom is supposed to be, but instead of being at like a venue or some fancy little place or whatever, it's at like a house, which it wasn't a bad house, it was just shaped weird. Like it was shaped like an L, and like the stairs to get to the next floor were in the center of the room instead of along the side or in like a hallway or something. So it was kind of weird. And then like it wasn't a door at the top either, you had like to push open a hatch. So like I remember I was in one of the rooms up top and I was just like minding my own business because the top floor was where the snack bar was, and I like food. I really like free food, so I was just sitting there and I was eating. And for some reason, like there's, and this doesn't make sense, I don't understand what this is supposed to mean, but like there is a guy who is, from shoulders down is normal, you know, I guess your normal teenage guy or whatever, right? Wearing jeans, a white t-shirt, and a leather jacket. He's going around being rude, being arrogant, yelling stuff with his little like crew of equally interesting people, but not interesting in the same way he is. What makes him interesting is that for some reason this guy has like a shark head, and it's like nobody's commenting about it. They're like acting like it's normal, they're just going about their day. The only time they really like react to anything from him is like whenever he says something rude to them, and then they're just like, ah, that's just so-and-so, or like they apologize and get out the way, right? So of course, me being me, I'm just staring because I'm just like, this doesn't make sense. And his little friends or whatever are like spider people, which I don't like spiders. I don't like bugs, point blank period. If it's not a honeybee making honey for me, a ladybug looking pretty for me, or a butterfly that's floating by me, I do not want it anywhere near me. So it's like a bunch of spiders just like running around, and it's like, it makes me itchy. Like they don't really come close to me, but it makes me itchy. And then like the pandemic, this is all over the place, but the pandemic eventually gets to the point where like it's right outside the doors where prom is supposed to be. And now that I think about it, I don't know why nobody canceled prom. But anyway, so now you have all these like infected, mutated people getting into the house, and everybody's trying to run up the stairs and lock the people that are below them with the infected people. And since I'm already on the top floor, I'm just like chilling and eating food. But let's see, I think I woke up about the time where like people started like jumping out of the window and onto the roof next door, because the building we were in was taller than the buildings that was around us. But I remember I woke up, and this is one of those dreams where, as I said earlier, like I woke up and I had a lot of adrenaline, and like it was very hard for me to go back to sleep. And it took me a while to like really remember this dream because it was just like all over the place and it was confusing. I don't know what any of it's supposed to mean. I looked it up and none of it made sense. Like, sharks in dreams are indicates feeling of anger, hunger, hostility, fierceness, and ruthlessness. You or someone else is going through an emotional period and can be a threat to people's well-being. A shark represents a person in your life who is greedy and unscrupulous. Well, damn. Well, I guess the guy was acting in character, but I don't know what that's supposed to mean about me. Even though this was around the time that like a lot of my circles were changing, they were shrinking, and I don't really have a lot of circles or any very big circles to begin with. So, but freshman year was an interesting time. So like change was bound to happen. As for zombies, or like, because that's the closest thing I can really describe them, which zombies have always been like one of my worst fears ever since I was younger, and I don't really know when it started. I'm pretty sure like my parents showed me some type of zombie movie, but it stuck with me, and I hated it because like you could get trapped somewhere and you can get stuck, and there's like nothing you can do. But it all depends on the type of zombie. Okay, let me segue a little bit. If it's like a regular shambling zombie, I might give it a chance and I might try to survive. You know, I'll put up a fight. If it's zombies like Dawn of the Dead where they were sprinting, I don't know. It depends on my own abilities, because I might just have to figure something else out. I might be living in the middle of the ocean. If it's zombies like anything like Train to Busan was, I'm not dealing with it. No, I would not be dealing with it, because those were terrifying. Like I think the most terrifying part to me was the part where like the survivors got off the train and they had heard about, well, not all of them, but like the father, he had called someone and was like checking to see if like the military was really gonna be there, and they were like, well, yeah, but the city's going into quarantine, so like you won't be able to leave. So they're all going downstairs and like the people are excited, and like they see the military standing outside the front door, but they all have their backs to them, and they're like, you know, oh my gosh, we're gonna be saved, this is gonna be our chance, we're gonna live or whatever. So they run to the door, but like the military was infected, I guess, which I don't know how they would get infected, but they were already infected. So like they turn around, and I kid you not, these military zombies were the most terrifying thing I've ever seen. They started running, jumping, and one of them began to crawl like a spider monkey towards these people to get them. That's a no for me, son. That's a game over. I'm not gonna put myself through that, because I don't think I could survive that. That's a no. That's a no. Like, that stuck with me for years. And I would get so paranoid, I would sit, like, wherever I was, I would try and figure out a plan to, like, if a zombie apocalypse were to happen right now, what would I do? Like, I think it was back in middle school. Everything happened in middle school. Middle school was weird. But I remember back in middle school, me and a friend used to joke around, and we were like, yeah, we're gonna have a plan to survive, you know, if a zombie apocalypse ever happens and we're in school, we're gonna make a list of people that we're gonna sacrifice for the greater good. And like now that I think about it, it was messed up. It was kind of mean, but it was also funny. Even though I don't even talk to her anymore. I think that was about the only time that I talked to this person, which was cool, because like some people aren't meant to be in your life forever, but it was still fun. Anyway, dreams about being chased by zombies is being stressed out and worried. Dreams about turning into a zombie is unable to control emotions. And being attacked by zombies is worried about something in life. Knowing someone who turned into a zombie or was bitten by a zombie is a lack of understanding. So I guess it has a lot to do with like stress and such. So I guess whenever the excuse me, whenever the infected people caught up to everybody else at prom, it was like stress catching up, I guess. Look at me being my own therapist. I want to know, where did these people get these like interpretations and understandings of dreams from? Like, who decided what meant what and why? Because like, people can have dreams about anything. So like, is there people actually sitting down and like assigning definitions and meanings to different symbols and whatnot as people dream? Because like, that's kind of cool, but I also feel like that's stressful. And how would you be able to like prove whether or not it's right or wrong? Because nobody would be able to dispute it, because like everyone's dreams can be interpreted differently. So, because like the dreams that, if I dream about like fish here in America, then someone on the other side of the world could be having dreams about fish, but it could mean something completely different because of like culture. So, are there different dream doctors, I guess, for different people? That'd be kind of cool. Anyway, this was just an interesting and weird thought that I had pop into my head, and I decided to run with it and make something out of it. What interesting dreams have you guys had? What do you think they mean? Thanks for sticking around. I hope I improved, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.